All right, well, sometimes it's necessary to perform multiple operations. It's important to recall the correct order of operations when you're doing this. For example, bed mass is one way that we remember the order of operations. Often, I would also say that a little diagram or a sketch is helpful just to organize your thoughts, or a table to keep the values organized also. So let's look at a couple of examples. If 1/4 of 500 feet of fabric is used, how many feet remain? Now, a key thing in math is the word of quite often means multiply. So we need to find 1/4 of 500. And in math, that means 1/4 times 500. And so here's my 500 feet of fabric. From here to here is 500 feet. Okay, I want to know how much 1/4 of it is so that I can then find how much remains. So let's see. Let's just make a quick sketch here. This would be about half. So if I divide those halves in half, that gives me quarters, right? So we're looking to see just how much 1/4 of 500 is in feet. So let's do the multiplication. 1/4 times 500. Remember that 500 is over 1. And so when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply numerator by denominator. I say that often. You multiply numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. This is 500. And 4 times 1 is 4. And so 500 divided by 4 is 125. So this area represents 125 feet. Well, if that's 125, then what we are asked is how many feet remain. So that's this area over here. So now we have the second operation that we need to perform, and that is our 500 feet. Subtract 125 feet, leaving us with 375 feet. Just as a side note, in case you were thinking this way, since 1/4 is being used, if 1/4 is being used, then 3/4, which is from, let's write it here to here, this is 3/4. 3/4 remains. So we could also just find 3/4 of 500, right? That means 3/4 multiplied by 500 over 1. And 3 times 500 is 1500. And 4 times 1 is 4, and 1500 divided by 4 is equal to 375. So that's another way you could also work it out. So now let's take a look at a second problem. Employees are paid $17 per hour for a 40-hour work week and then time and a half for overtime. How much will an employee be paid for working 48 hours? So let's use a table to organize this. We know that the first 40 hours of the work week will be paid at $17 an hour. So 40 hours at $17 an hour, and the total rate of pay is 40 times 17. So that will be $680. Let's put the cents in too. Now, 40 hours have been worked. What about the difference? 48 minus 40. That leaves us with 8 hours of overtime. 8 hours of overtime. So 8 hours will be paid at time and a half. That means 1 1/2 times 17. All right, the hourly rate is multiplied by 1 1/2. So let's figure out that. Well, how did we do it? Well, we had to change the mixed fraction to an improper fraction, and that is 2 times 1 plus 1. That gives me 3 halves times 17 over 1. 3 times 17, 51 over 2 times 1. And this will be, let's see, 25.50. So 25.50 is the rate of pay for each of the 8 hours of overtime. And when we multiply 25.50 by 8 times 8, right? It's $204. How much will the employee be paid for working this 48-hour work week? So the total here, 48 hours. The total rate of pay is going to go in here after we add these two values. And that is, let's do that in black, $884. All right, so as you can see, sometimes a diagram or a table is helpful to organize your calculations. If you find it that way, then by all means, make use of that. Practice some of the odd-numbered questions in the text.